It is a bit magic, but it's also it's something that's intangible. And when you turn the light on something, it is just, you've got this wow factor. And I think a lot of people, when they see a show, they see a performer on stage and they look at that person and they connect with that person. They don't know about my role and all the other people's roles. And I think a lot of people that are interested in working in theatre see that person on stage and go, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that. So that's what I thought I wanted to do.
Hello and welcome to the Bridge Theatre podcast with me, Pauline Fallowell. In this special series, we're stepping into the woods to explore the Bridge Theatre's production of Stephen Sondheim's epic musical. I'll be heading behind the scenes to meet the people who make the magic happen. Because every role has a story, and sometimes, to find it, you need to step off the path. This week, I'm joined by Into the Woods lighting designer Aideen Malone. We talk about shaping the woods, about whether lighting is something you consciously notice or something you simply feel, and how much is collaboration and how much is instinct. Hi Aideen, thank you for joining me today.
Very welcome.
Would you like to do a quick introduction to who you are and specifically what you do in the world of theatre or even the world of entertainment, and also what you've been doing here for Into the Woods?
So I'm Aideen Malone. I'm originally from Ireland. I've been living in the UK for quite a while now, longer now in the UK than I lived in Ireland, which is strange, but good. And I'm a lighting designer, and that is what I've been doing on Into the Woods.
Amazing. Do you want to unpack slightly? I mean, lighting designer feels like it's a very kind of straightforward, that's what, you design the lighting. But is there more to it than that? What would you describe the sort of job description as of a lighting designer?
So it's a person who's in charge of the lighting, but you're collaborating with a whole team of people in order to create that design. So you're collaborating with the director, with the whole creative team, but particularly probably closely with the director, the designer, and if there's any other, the sound designer and the video designer. But with the whole team, I mean, I liaise with stage management in relation to queuing of it, but it's creating the overall design that's interlinked with all the departments. And very often, the lighting design is one of the creative elements, I think, that pulls different departments together.
You've got to be able to see what's going on. So
yes,
it's integral. But yeah, often I think underappreciated because it's just there.
Yeah, very often people notice the lighting design when the show is not so good. Or if the lighting design is quite exceptional. It's normally one or the other. And it's true, very often it's something you're not quite sure, you don't notice it, but you do feel it.
Yes.
Quite considerably. And I don't think people quite realise the level that it gets you, here. So it's quite exciting, that part of it. I like that aspect of it.
So you say you've been here for quite a while now, but where did the love for theatre start? Because I'm assuming you have a love for theatre, or is it the lighting, the kind of design element came first and then theatre wove its way in? When was your first touch point with theatre?
Probably seeing pantomime, like a lot of people, I think, but in Ireland. But I was particularly blown away by a lady called Maureen Potter, who's quite a famous Irish actor, singer, performer, comedian. Oh, she's just amazing. She's no longer with us, but she's just really, very strong woman on stage and really funny, and just had the audience right in her hand.
Was she doing panto, or was she doing?
She was doing panto. It was at the Olympia in Dublin.
Oh, wow.
So that was probably my first experience of seeing a show.
How
old was I? Oh gosh, I'd say probably 8 or 9.
Nice.
And I think a lot of people, when they see a show, they see a performer on stage and they look at that person and they connect with that person. They don't know about my role and all the other people's roles. And I think a lot of people that are interested in working in theatre see that person on stage and go, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that. So that's what I thought I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when I was in secondary school, we used to do a musical every year. And I could sing, so I was able to enjoy those roles. I played like the King and the King and I played Curly in Oklahoma. It was an all-girls school.
I was going to say.
Because I was tall,
yes,
I played all the men.
I mean, those are pretty cool roles, though, to play.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was quite amazing. And it was a great opportunity. In fact, I preferred that part of my school than the rest of it. Anything to get out of class.
Enjoy a bit of limelight. So where did that lead? So if secondary school you were doing these musicals on a regular basis, did you then go, right, how do I become an actor? Or was there a moment?
I think my parents and my grandparents were quite musical, and particularly my mum's parents. They were kind of operatic singers. But there wasn't really anybody in the family that had performed or worked in theatre, so it wasn't really advised. It was advised to me not to go down that route, and I thought, okay, I'll hold that off for a bit. So actually, I went and did, which is quite interesting talking to you, I went and did a marketing course for 2 years, and then during that, I was living with 2 art students. So one was my sister and was a very good friend, so my sister Kate and a very good friend Dot. And I was hanging out in our college the whole time. And I was realizing, actually, hang on a minute, I've got to do something creative here. So I then went and resat my Leaving Cert, which you could do then, and then decided I want to go study drama and theatre. But what aspect, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I thought performance, and I did lots of auditions and stuff. And I got into a drama and theatre course in Trinity in Dublin. And it was there that I found and came upon various different disciplines. Yeah. So we did all the stuff on stage. We did set design, costume design, lighting design, sound design, stage management, production management, loads of things. And it's there I fell in love with lighting and haven't looked back since, frankly.
It's so good that and I was saying this to you off camera, I did a similar course where I could try all of those things out. And it's so great that there are those opportunities of those courses that don't allow you to just sort of suddenly go, it is acting and it's only acting. It's giving that variety, because also it gives you an appreciation of what everyone else is doing as well.
Completely. And it gives you an idea of how long it takes to rig a light or how long it takes to do a prompt copy or I think that I feel it makes me a good collaborator because I've got a good understanding of all the various different roles.
But how wonderful that you then must have gone, yes, lighting. And what was it about the lighting that sort of
magic? It's kind
of magic.
It is a bit magic, but it's also it's something that's intangible. And when you turn the light on something, it is just, you've got this wow factor. So I think it was the intangibility of it. I was also very interested in the combination of it's super technical and super abstract and creative at the same time. And I think I've always been a bit technical, and I think I quite liked the combination of the two.
Oh, amazing.
So, yeah.
And how then did you take that further? Because actually there's sort of one thing of going, this is what I want to do, and then being able to arrive here and be a lighting designer for a big musical. I'm guessing there was a lot of discovery along that way.
Absolutely. Gosh, that's a long journey. Initially, I started off as a freelancer. So I did 2 years in Dublin, and then I came over to London on a student exchange. And that's how I ended up in London, because then I transferred over here and then finished my degree in Goldsmiths in New Cross.
That was where I studied.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And then I was out in the big bad world trying to find my way, and I was a technician for quite a while.
And technicians do more, is it like maintenance or?
Well, I did a bit of maintenance.
Yeah.
I did a bit of, you do rigs for shows, you do focusing, you do all the various different aspects in order to help somebody achieve, the actual show. I worked at Sadler's Wells. I worked in a place in Euston. I worked in lots of various different places. And then eventually I thought, okay, I've got to find a way of, trying to go into design. And I knew touring, I thought might be a good idea. So I toured for 3 or 4 years with Akram Khan.
Oh, amazing.
A long time ago when he was just starting off, quite exciting times, and relighting Michael Hull's lighting design. Mm-hmm. And then I lit a show of Akram's. I did a lighting design for him, and then I toured that. So the touring was a really good way to learn the craft.
Yeah.
also managing teams and finding how different countries do things in different places.
Say there's an extra challenge of different theatres along that way, and like different sizes. I know stages are sort of similar, but they all have their quirks and they all have their differences, and that must be a challenge to make a continuity along the way.
Yeah, and it's just a really good way to learn the craft. And then I was production electrician at the place for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
So I suppose I've got quite a technical background. And then after that, I decided, right, it's time to take the plunge and go full-time design-wise. And I haven't stopped since, really.
What was the first production you did as a designer?
Gosh.
Sorry if that's a...
Wow.
Or one of the first that was kind of the moment you went, yes, I'm a designer. I'm actually designing this.
Interesting. Gosh, what can I remember? I mean, I remember designing a dance piece for Yasmin Vardaman in the early days. And it was all pink. It was the whole thing was quite pink. And it's not a colour that I use an awful lot. Lighting dance actually really excited me initially, and to be honest, theatre is my first love, but lighting dance it's a different way you can light, and you're not as tied down to have to see people's faces because there's not necessarily text, and so it's a bit freer in ways.
And contemporary dance often doesn't have much set, so lighting is really the mood setter quite a lot of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, and very often. And there wasn't much set. There was I think there was some light pendant fittings. It was quite minimal. Yeah. I learned a lot at the place, actually, and I saw an awful lot of choreographers and dancers and lighting designers come through from various different countries, and it was a real eye-opener.
Wow. No, I always enjoy watching dance and seeing how people have lit it, because the shadows that can be created by the body and all of that, like there is such a canvas.
It's about sculpting the body, and you don't have to worry about seeing faces, which is
a different challenge. So I haven't looked back since, really.
I like to be able to mix the different medium, to do theatre, to do musicals, to do dance, various different things, opera.
Brilliant. And so when you found out, how did you find out that Into the Woods was coming, and what was your first kind of reaction to going, do you want this gig? Like, were you excited? Did you know much about Into the Woods? Was it a challenge? You were like, yes, I need to do that. Musical is my next, the next thing in my list of things to do.
First got approached by Jordan. Said, do you want to meet up? I've got a potential project. I said, sure, yeah. I just done Fiddler with Jordan and Tom.
Ah, great.
Which was a gorgeous experience at the park, and then we did an indoor version of the Barbican, and then went on tour.
Yeah, because doing something at Regent's Park must have a challenge in itself, because you are open, and you're going to have matinees that are in the light, and then evenings that get dark, and that must have been. Had you worked there before?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's definitely a challenge. But quite an interesting challenge, and it's a bit magic. So it's magical in the way that you see the whole audience is exposed and seen right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like a big magnifying glass, because it just gets darker and darker and darker and darker. And it's a beautiful way to see a show. The thing that's challenging about it is the schedule.
Yeah.
Because you have to work late into the night.
Oh, wow. So of course. Yes, you can't tech when it's midday.
They do tech when it's during the day, because they have to tech the show, but I don't get to see it till the final dress, the whole thing, but I get to light it later in the night between 10 and whatever, 2:30.
Really?
Wow. Slightly sidetracked. But so Jordan, it's all good. Jordan was saying, I'm doing this show at the Bridge with Tom. Would you like to do it? And I was like, yeah, definitely. But he was he just talked about his thoughts, and they had initial meetings about it. And I was already thinking, gosh, various different images were popping into my head. But one particular one was Anthony Gormley's Fog Room. And it's just hearing what, the thoughts that Jordan had on the piece.
His Fog Room is that glass box, isn't it, where you go in and you can't see anyone until they walk up to the glass.
Yeah.
And I saw that way back when at the Hayes Gallery. What was it called? Yeah,
Hayward
Gallery.
Yeah,
that's it. Sorry.
Yeah. But I was just I was getting very excited about, and imagery were just coming straight into my head about what's real, what's not real, what you see atmosphere and haze and various different things. But I was very excited, and also very excited to work at the bridge because I'd never worked at the bridge.
Oh, wow.
So that was...
Had you been to the bridge before?
Yes, I had. I had seen several shows of the bridge, but I was really excited to. And I was excited to work with Tom and Jordan again.
Yeah, that's nice. And that was the first time you'd worked with them was Fiddler as a collaboration?
As a team that was, but I had worked with Tom prior to that on Carousel at the park, and also Outwitting the Devil with Akram Khan.
Amazing. Oh, that's so nice when you've got people that you start knowing and you can start playing with and then feel like you can create something quite magical.
Yeah, it's really nice. I think I've been in the industry for quite a while now, but it's nice when you, come and do a show and you know people.
Yeah.
I think it makes, having that shortcut is brilliant.
Right.
Really
and
is.
Did you know the musical at all? Did you know Into the Woods? Did you have any relationship
I didn't
with it?
know it that well.
Yeah.
I knew of it.
Yeah.
I had never seen a production of it.
Is that helpful sometimes when you are coming to it? You're sort of not knowing too much?
Potentially. But I knew of the story, and I knew it was quite an epic piece, and I knew were a lot of people who loved that as a Sondheim musical, and I had never done a Sondheim musical.
It's so lovely when you were like, still haven't done that. Great tick.
Yeah, I'm still there. There's still us. I think when I stop learning or stop doing new things, I'll probably move on to something else.
Why not? Keep playing, having fun.
Yeah.
So now you know that you're doing it. So can you talk about sort of what the starting point and how the creative process starts for you when you've got that job, you know who you're working with? What are your sort of next steps? What happens? And is it a kind of standard routine, or is it dependent on project?
Well, I think there's a certain amount that's standard. So obviously I need to go away and get to know the piece.
Yes.
Look at various different options that have been done before, if it has been done before, and this piece has been done a lot before. Get to know the music, and then just research, to the nth degree about the piece, about the characters, about the story, what's behind it, what the worlds are that various different people created, to get an idea of, okay, that's interesting. And just, I suppose, really just getting to know the piece, and then finding imagery of thoughts that are in my head that are coming from the piece. So the stories or the characters or the music. So I would have gone off and selected a load of imagery that then I would have shared with the creative team at various different points. So that's probably, that would be standard for every piece that I do.
Do you get briefed by Tom and Jordan, by the director and the designer, or is there a sort of push and pull? Is there a nice sort of collaboration to say, oh, how about this?
Yeah, no, there's definitely push and pull. I've done projects before where I've come in right from the beginning and instigated, ideas from a lighting point of view. But I always think it's better if the director and the designer have had started some conversation, so they've got an idea of what the world might be.
You've got some parameters.
Yeah. And I think that's the most successful way, I think, of all the lighting designs I've done. I think you need some, as you said, parameters is a really good word. So that but it's parameters that are movable.
Yeah.
And I think I'm all about collaboration. And I think that's why I love working in theatre, because you're working as a team. You're not just an artist on your own, doing your own thing in a studio. So there's a lot of push and pull and a lot of collaboration. Particularly, probably more, I don't know, it's just in different ways with the director and the designer. They're just at different aspects, but probably more closely with Tom than with Jordan.
Yes, because you need to light the set and especially for this project, the lighting through the trees and the way it changes what is the same set actually for Act 1 and then Act 2. It changes where you are in the wood by the lighting almost, because the sun, I mean, that's what I see. So if that was the intention, that's great.
That was completely the intention.
And that is fascinating, because almost you needed to know where those were so that you knew then, I'm guessing, where the lighting could go to change those different placements.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of meetings about what the woods were, and there were various, I'm sure Tom talked about it when he did his chatting to you, but various iterations about the design.
Yeah.
And we discussed, the piece in detail, and before we go into the woods is also quite an important aspect before that, before you see that reveal. But just the elements of the woods and how this is the sort of piece, every scene has a challenge, quite a few challenges. So there was quite a logistics that we have, things we needed to create and things that needed to appear and disappear. And the woods needed to be revealed, but not overlit, but needs to stay mystical and needed to be day and night and various different things. So we looked at various different options in the model box. To be honest, I've never done a show with a design that's been so organic, which I think I found it a bit terrifying. I think Tom also found it a bit terrifying. I'm going to not speaking on his behalf, but he was afraid there would be not enough foliage in the actual build, and I was afraid there might be too much foliage, so we wouldn't be able to get those beautiful shafts through the trees. So it was quite an interesting process. Yeah,
and then again, that comes with that, that conversation, that collaboration of sort of making sure that you're both able to do the best you can.
Completely.
And trusting the process to get you there and to get it looking as beautiful it does.
Well, I mean, he's a great collaborator, Tom, and works in great detail, and is very open to lots of suggestions, which is great.
You talked about starting with a model box. Can you tell us what that is and sort of what that process is of going from what is a model box to then putting it on stage?
So a model box is a physical box that is basically a scaled down version of the design and the theatre.
Yeah.
So, and there's various different stages. There's a white card model box, which is normally the stage that I would come in. I'd like to come in before that stage, but on this project I came in much earlier than that. But that's basically a model box or a box with the set design not necessarily coloured and textured as it would be. And then there would be a final model box, which is how the set design is going to look in detail. So the colour of it, the texture of it, and all the various different elements. And it's an important thing that we play with as the creative team sit around and we look at various different elements and how they look and where we can put lights in relation to trees or whatever. So it's an important part of the process, but a physical thing that you can interact with and play with the various different elements.
Do you literally get little lights to put into?
You can do, but I've tried that before.
Yeah.
But I think I find it more useful to do, I do pre-visualization, which is basically you visualize what this model box looks like, but you do it on a computer in a 3D world.
Oh, amazing.
And I find that probably more a useful tool to look at exactly where lights need to go to make sure they do the shot they need to do through that tree or through that door. Or so I think that's more useful than actual little lights in the model box.
That makes sense.
Because for a rig, you end up having a lot of lights. You can get a torch and try a torch out with various different aspects, or an angle poise. But the scale of it is not the same.
Yeah, it's not very subtle to just sort of blast a torch.
But it gives you an idea of, okay, I need something coming from this sort of a shot.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But it's the model box is a good way to go, particularly to look at it and walk around it and go, actually, I could get some lights there from that side, and then maybe I could put some lights behind this here. So it's really, and you can look on top of it as well, and you can see clearly. And obviously my stuff tends to be above the set quite a lot, so I can see clearly where I can get good shots. So it's a very useful tool.
Was there any limitations for the bridge in terms of where you could, because every theatre must have limitations of how many lights. Were there limitations here in terms of?
There are. The bridge it's got no flying.
Yes. Because we've got flats above us, which is mad, isn't it, really? Just people living up there.
And it is quite amazing. When you come and see shows here, you don't quite realise there are quite a lot of parameters that are a little bit limiting, but it doesn't show on the shows that you see here. So there's no flying for a start.
And does that impact you much? I know it impacts because sets can often, when they say fly, they fly up, don't they, upwards, so that you can sort of have something else come down and sort of store up there. But does that impact lighting as well?
Yes, it does, because very often you put the lighting rig up and you put lights in positions. And if you're in a fly house, you can just bring those bars in, move some stuff about if it doesn't quite work, and move it off one bar and put it on another bar.
Yeah.
But if you have no flying, you can't do that. So that's where the pre-visualization is an important tool. So in that process, I worked out to make sure that the lights were in the right place, because we only got one shot at putting the rig up, and then I mean, you can move things. It just takes time and impacts on the schedule. So we moved 2 lights out of the whole rig. So that wasn't bad, considering.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many lights in total did you rig? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good.
Sorry, that's quite a mean question when we've a few weeks away from doing it all now.
There's at least 100.
Wow.
I'd say there's more than that.
Yeah.
I'd have to no, there's definitely more. I'd say it's more like 100. Over 100, I'd say.
How much would you do on an average show? I know that's not just because there's not an average show, but
there isn't really. It depends on the scale, really.
Wow, is that quite a lot?
It's not small.
There's nothing small about the show, so that makes sense.
No, I don't think there is. As I said, in this piece, there's each scene has, you have Granny's house, you have Rapunzel's tower, you have so many elements. You have the giant. You have you've got so many things to solve. And make appear and disappear that you need a certain amount. In the rig. I mean, I think it's important to make sure your rig is not too big. You do it within the time you've got and the crew you've got. And I always liaise with the in-house team to make sure, is this achievable? Because if it's not, there's no point in putting up too many lights. And if you don't have the time to be able to put the rig up, it's an important aspect to be able to work the restraints of the time you've got. But the other thing about the bridge is it's got beams in the ceiling. The ceiling is, it's about 9.5 meters, but within that you have these lower beams, so they kind of dictate where the rig goes overhead. Quite a bit. But Adrian here from the bridge knows this, and Michael, they know the space really well, so they enabled me to be able to do whatever I needed to do, really. Amazing. And work within those parameters.
Yeah, you forget that you're not only liaising with the creative team, you're then having to work with the in-house team to then go, right, how does this work practically? And I also love that idea of using the computer to visualize it. Has technology changed the way you can design over the last, X amount of years you've been doing this?
Yes, absolutely. And I probably in the early days wouldn't have used pre-visualization. And some people use it actually to see what the look of the show is going to be, but I tend to just use it to see where the lights go, and as a useful tool. I think it's not quite reality. It's not quite there yet, but it's a useful tool.
It'll get there, I'm sure, at some point, which will be kind of terrifying, but amazing.
Won't replace us though.
Yes, keep saying that. We've talked a lot about sort of the discovery of the process, but was there a sort of a big discovery or any sort of key moments in this that was sort of that's really interesting, I didn't expect that along this creative process when you were looking at lighting?
Was there any aspect that wasn't like a discovery? Well, I mean, the woods were a discovery. Because what the model box looked like, and actually how the woods were created on stage is quite a different thing. And how it was built and how it achieved the look within within the budget and various different aspects in the time frame. So that was quite a discovery. And I remember Richard Nutburn, who did all the foliage and the beautiful detail in the set. I was on stage with him, and I was just looking at how they had created the woods, and I always knew that I was going to backlight through the trees, and we were just working how can he achieve the denseness that Tom wants, and how can I achieve the light going through it. And he modified how he was building some of the elements so that I could light through it without seeing the structure of how he held the foliage together.
Wow.
So the whole woods was quite a discovery.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Because we knew that from the model box that it was going to be a lot of foliage. We weren't quite sure exactly how it was going to look.
Yeah, and you don't want to show up any of the imperfections, not saying there are, but you don't want to ruin the magic of actually how it's been.
So you don't want to overlight it, and you don't want to expose the elements that shouldn't be exposed. So it was working quite closely. Yeah, so the woods in themselves were quite a discovery, and a constant discovery.
Especially if you're doing it from different angles as well, because suddenly you sort of going, where can you hide that little join or whatever it might be that might be like those little moments that you just like don't want to see that. How do we not see that?
Yeah, and worked quite closely with Tom
to
do that, Tom and Roland, to achieve that. I mean, the giant was quite an interesting discovery, and how we achieved that. And we did various different R&Ds to work that out.
Yeah.
It became clear that it was going to work really well to do it through video, but it needed to be video and light and atmospherics. So the atmospherics, which are the haze, the smoke, all those elements in the air. I've never done a show that was quite reliant on those elements as much as this show.
Interesting.
So that was quite a discovery as well.
Yeah.
And we had a special effects company work alongside us, Encore, and they advised various different things, that we could use. And we had to kind of look at budget and look at various different elements. But we used quite a lot of haze, quite a lot of smoke, quite a lot of various different types of fog. So cold fog and warmer fog. And that was quite a discovery.
Who knew there were those? I didn't know that haze, fog and smoke were three different things even in theatre.
Sure are.
Wow, because they give different densities and different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the cold fog stays closer on the ground.
Interesting.
So, for example, in the Giant's Death, when that channel in Act 2 fills with cold smoke very quickly.
Yes.
And it also dissipates very quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas the warm fog takes longer to dissipate and also rises.
Wow.
So, yeah. I know. So I learned quite a lot about atmospherics.
Wow. That's so interesting. And then, of course, you need to know how it will look and what lights can go through or how it hits it, how it bounces, Wow.
Yeah. And this building is quite interesting for atmospherics because it relies on whatever temperature is outside affects the temperature in the building. So trying to keep that temperature the same in the theatre is quite a challenge.
Yes, things you don't think about until you have to think about them. The production is now open and running and looking beautiful. What happens once you've made it beautiful, once you've put it up there and you've worked out all those technicals? What happens to your role?
Once the show opens?
Yeah.
I get to have a break.
Did you have a break?
I definitely did.
Oh,
I needed a break.
It was Christmas as well, which was
quite
it was
a nice
long
year.
It was good.
It was good. A great year, but it was quite a long year. But once the show goes up, I'm done.
Yeah.
Essentially, I get to come back. I'm done, but I always have I get all the show reports every day to make sure after every show, and I keep an eye on those to make sure everything's running and smoothly.
And those tend to tell you if there's been any technical things that have happened. Often it's about if casts have changed or gone on and off.
Exactly.
It's that. They're fascinating reads sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And there was something in the first week, actually, once the show had opened, performers were struggling to get onto the log. It was in show reports, and that was something that Lucy and myself, so Lucy is the associate LD, and myself solved in that first week.
She couldn't see. Was it an actor?
She couldn't see. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't clarify. She was, the lights are going dark, and she needed to get up onto a log and exit.
Yes.
So we worked. We didn't. What was tricky about it is we had Rapunzel's Tower coming in, so we didn't want to reveal that.
Yeah, of course.
So we just needed to work out what was the best thing for Katie to get off. But we worked that out. So if there's anything like that technically, or something is, constantly breaking, then I will come and intervene and work out why that's happening. But that hasn't happened on this show. So that's the only thing.
You also have to remember, it's that thing of like lighting is not just for audience to see, it's also for the cast to see what they're doing as well.
Oh, there's absolutely a health and safety thing. Yeah, for sure. But it only needed a change of 1.5 seconds on the downtime of the lights going down for Katie to be able to get off safely. So just needs a small little intervention. But
it's good to have you still there on the periphery so that nothing is kind of then gone out of sync, or to watch it. And do you tend to come back and revisit shows? Or
yeah, definitely. And I like to come back and see, but I haven't yet come back because I've been a bit busy. Because very often once one show opens, you moving onto the next one. Because as a lighting designer, you're always juggling normally 3 or 4 projects together. Not in the same stage of the process, but there's always
you'll be in sort of the research while you're also in tech, or
you can only be in one tech at a time. That's what dictates the schedule.
Do you schedule it all yourself? Do you work out? Are you sort of sitting there going, yes, I can do that then, I can do that, and I can do that then? Wow. Yeah. So there's also admin to your job, isn't there? In the sort of like scheduling and
organising and not doing too much.
Yeah.
But doing enough to earn a living. So, and that is quite, I know when I started off first, that is quite a challenge. Not to do, learning to say, just to have a schedule where you can give a lot of time to the show, but keep enough time to be able to juggle other shows as well. But I do like to come back and see shows during the run for sure. And if I don't get a chance during the run, it's always nice to see towards the end, so you can see how it's grown, because it definitely grows.
Everyone grows and matures through it, don't they? It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is really, really lovely to see that. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, yes, looking forward to getting you back again. When you come. If you could do this process all over again, is there anything you'd change?
Anything I would change?
Now with hindsight, that wonderful, with hindsight, I'd have.
I think the only thing would be the process for the pre-visualization, because the set was quite organic. We didn't scan. I would get the model box scanned in a 3D world, so that we could then literally transport that model box into a 3D computer world. Because what we did is we went from a 3D drawing rather than the scanning, and that scanning would have helped the pre-visualization it would have made it a little bit more how it ended up. The 3D drawing that we worked from wasn't quite how the model box was or what the end product was like. So that's probably, I definitely would do that. Scan the model. I would love more time, but I think everybody probably says that. But it was quite tight.
Well, I was going to say, was this a tighter schedule than?
For a musical of this scale, it was quite tight. We only had a week to tech it, and we only had a week and a half to preview it.
Wow.
And with the set as organic as it is, or what it is just a little bit more time would have helped. I think another week would have taken the pressure off and given a little bit more playtime. Because the tricky bit about lighting design is you can do pre-visualization, you can do storyboarding, and I did quite detailed storyboarding, but you can't really tell what it's going to look like till you get in there. And that's quite magical in a way, but it means you don't physically know exactly all the elements.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked at the lighting rig has. I created a palette, and that's what I do when I create a lighting design. I create a palette of various different angles, of various different colors, of various different places, so that you have a palette to work from.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much you can work out beforehand with lighting design. I think 80% maybe. There's a 20% that you just...
That's quite exciting.
It's quite exciting.
But I can imagine if you're you like things controlled and you like things... That's, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to have nerves of steel and... yeah. So,
trust the process.
yeah, and if you work with a creative team, and it's a solid creative team, then you just trust that.
Yeah.
And you take each other, through that and work with that together. Yeah. Yeah. And the process working with Roland as the video and lighting, the whole team always wanted the video element to work, but we wanted to work as if it felt like it was part of the light. So the lighting and video were very much one thing, not separate elements. Yeah. So we worked quite hard to make that happen.
You can see that because there's moments like the birds. It's almost like that could be, it could be puppet, shadow puppets almost.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be like, oh, that's video. It's sort of beautifully done and similar with the giant, actually. Again, it could be lighting somehow that is casting shadows rather than.
Yeah.
She says, I don't actually know what is video and what's...
No, that's...
I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was the giant is definitely done with video. That's all run, but it's supported completely with the lighting design.
Amazing. The amount of people you've had to collaborate through this process is incredible, and also have your own vision to create a final piece. It's amazing. I mean, you talk so passionately about it, and you've obviously done this in wonderful ways for so long. If you hadn't have gone to drama school, if you'd stayed, would you have been a marketing person, do you think? What else would you be doing if you hadn't ended up
Interesting question. I don't think I would have stuck with marketing. I did find the psychology section in marketing quite interesting. I think it would have to be something creative. Not that marketing's not creative. Everything's creative.
Yeah.
But
it would have to be creative. There is a lot of boring stuff.
But I think there's boring stuff to every job.
That is true.
But, so creative is the wrong word, isn't it? It would have to be in the arts.
Something practical-esque, or?
Definitely something technical and creative. Maybe. I've always wanted to be in a band. Never did it. But I could do something to do with music. But for sure, actually.
Like more you could be like technical producer of music, or maybe.
I think more creating the music, actually. Yeah.
Composing?
Potentially. I did dabble a bit in it, but I don't think it was quite for me.
Another world, maybe.
Yeah. I would be interested in doing, and I nearly did apply for a fine art degree. Be interested in lighting design as an installation.
Element. You'd miss the collaboration though, wouldn't you?
I completely would.
You definitely said that earlier, that is,
So that's probably why I didn't go down that route. But would I do anything completely different?
Isn't that nice though, that you can't imagine another you in some ways? Like you can't imagine another world. It's actually lovely.
Yeah, it is true. And I've been doing this over 30 years and I still love it. Okay, the schedules are quite grueling sometimes. But I do still love it, and I am still learning. So I'll carry on learning and discovering new things.
What a delight! And well, thank you for talking, and thank you for the beauty that is the lighting for Into the Woods.
Well, it's a pleasure, and thank you.
Welcome. And that's it for this episode. A huge thanks to Aideen for taking us behind the scenes and sharing her stories. You can catch up on the first series of the Bridge Theatre podcast now, featuring episodes with actor David Morst, composer Grant Olding, and theatre legend and choreographer Arlene Phillips. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if it's on YouTube, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you want to find out more about the Bridge Theatre, including buying tickets, head to bridgetheatre.co.uk. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time as we head back into the woods.